invited the 10:30 congregation to come and join us at Toast Church. So things will be a little bit more like Toast Church. Obviously it's hard to make it exactly like Toast Church when normally Toast Church is a bit smaller. But it's really good to get everybody together. I think we've had a notice to give, because we still have some notices. Hazel, what? So Songs of Praise.
Apologies that Songs of Praise didn't get into this week's update.
So apologies.
As usual, at 4 o'clock this afternoon in the church building. If you want to come, choose a hymn or two to sing, and then we'll have tea together. 4 o'clock in the church.
I'll try and remember all that so we can come through the microphone. Apologies that the Songs of Praise service didn't get into the notice sheet. It will be on at 4 o'clock in the church. Please do come along. Was that about most of it? Good. Anything else I need to say? No? Right. Well, over to David. Yeah, I'll hand over to David.
Oh, brave, handing over to me. Morning, everybody. How are we doing? Are we good? Are we up for some singing? Yeah. Have you brought your instruments with you? Oh, okay. Amos has brought the instruments. Yeah. Does everybody know the actions for this one?
Yeah, you could beat.
Yes.
Well, if you went the other side of David.
Very well choreographed, is this? Very well choreographed. Okay. Okay. So there's a bit of an instrumental in this. There's a bit of an instrumental in this one. So you need to pretend you brought some instruments with you. So has anybody brought a pretend instrument with them? Yes. Okay. What have we got? Just tell me. A recorder. School teacher. Recorder. Anything else? Tambourine. That's nice. Trombone. So you have to play that quietly. Okay.
I brought my Octobase. I saw a photo of it on YouTube, on Facebook yesterday.
No idea what you're talking about.
It's like a double bass, double light.
Okay. There will be a point where you can pretend to play your, or you can play your pretend instruments, or your octopus, or whatever it is you brought. And this is some actions.
Yes, we can do them. Of course.
What's this one? Here we go. Perfect finish, well done.
So, just wait for Raymond to be on the computer desk so that he can operate the PowerPoint in a minute. We're having a time now to share news. So have a think about whether you've got any good news to share, and in a moment we'll invite you to share that. But some of us here are going to share some good news, first of all, about 3 Generate, which some of us went on last weekend. I'm going to move the microphone around here so I can see the screen as well. So, Amos, can you put the first slide on? So here we go. This is the group from Grange that went to 3 Generate last weekend. I'm sure you can take me off the corner, Amos. So this is the group that went to 3 Generate last weekend. You can see me looking silly on the corner there, trying to take a picture. I'm not very good at taking selfies. And Joe, and then Thea, and Alice, who's here this morning. Give us a wave, Alice. And Amos, who's here this morning on the tech desk, and Tilda and Deborah. So we went to 3 Generate. We went on the train from Grange, and it all worked very well on the way down. Not quite so well on the way back, but we got back. And 3 Generate was down at the NEC in Birmingham. Next slide, please. We were camping in the NEC in tents, so there you go, you can see our tents there. That was our little tent village. There were over 1,000 young people, plus their leaders, in a big NEC hall, so you can imagine what it might have been like trying to get to sleep. Actually, the noisiest thing was the air conditioning, or the sort of air ventilation system overnight. You might also recognise somebody else in that picture, which is Karen Edmondson, thank you. Karen Edmondson, who is daughter of Hazel and David. And she was there as a volunteer, and she showed us where our tents were. Okay, next one, thank you. We weren't just there as a group from Grange this year. We actually joined a wider Cumbria group, so there were actually 20 of us all together, 16 young people and 4 leaders. And you can see us all there. That was at the end of the weekend. So there were 2 from Wigton, up near Carlisle. There were 3 from Penrith, and I think 6 from Appleby, plus the 5 of us from Grange. So it was really, really good to actually come together with a wider group from Cumbria. And we all got on really well, and the young people really mixed well together. So next one. Here's just a little bit of a taster of what it looked like in the 3 Generate village. So you can see various tents there. Can you see the inflatable church? So inflatable church there, so lots of different places venues that the young people can choose from to go to. Okay, next one. And you can see on the left-hand side there's a picture of Saturday's programme.
It's only Saturday morning.
That's just Saturday morning's programme, sorry. Showing all the different things that were happening in all the different venues. So many different things that people could go to. Alice, a couple of your highlights. Sorry, just putting you on the spot here.
There were lots of things I really liked. I was in the town hall a lot of the time, and they sort of had lots of workshops on, and there was one on poverty, and it was really interesting to hear about the statistics in the UK, and there's many children in poverty.
I think Amos might be saying a bit more about that later.
And then there was also a workshop on protesting, and at the end of the workshop we went around the NEC and held a little protest, and we could...
Don't say what it is yet, because it's on the next slide. Sorry. Good planning here.
It was very good fun.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. Joe's going to just read out something from Deborah, who couldn't be here this morning, but she sent a little bit about 3 Generate.
So Deborah says, 3 Generate was so much fun. It is my 3rd year going, and I really enjoyed it. My favourite things were the silent disco, as I made so many friends, and the songs were absolute vibes. Don't know if I can say that with an authentic... do you know what silent disco is? No. Yeah? It might need David to explain what absolute vibe is. I also enjoyed the meditation, as it helped me feel closer to Jesus, and it felt like I could speak to him. Meditation also made me feel very relaxed and calm. So that's a lovely comment from Deborah.
Thank you. And you can see as well there on the screen screen. In the middle there, it says, "Tell us what do you love? What do you most love about God?" And people had an opportunity to write things on there. And the rather messy-looking wall of cardboard, they're actually sort of like cardboard Lego bricks. And we were encouraged to write things that we felt were barriers, I think. Well, I can't remember what. Anyway.
It was things that you kind of get riled up about and get specifically kind of passionate about.
Things you can be passionate about and maybe get riled about. And they were built into a wall over the weekend, so you can see that wall taking shape on the right-hand side. Okay, a couple more slides. There we go, there's some of our group taking part in some of the activities. We've got Theo climbing a climbing wall on the left-hand side. Alice and Amos and Reuben, who's in the middle there. Now, Reuben is actually from Wolverhampton, and his family joined our online services when we were during lockdown, and so we got to know him and his family during then, and they also go to Greenbelt, and he actually joined in with he joined with Amos and Alice in various things that they did, and sort of tagged along with our group quite a lot, because I think a lot of his group were quite a lot younger than him. And Alice playing the guitar in an open mic session. The one with Deborah with her thumbs up there, that's I think at the silent disco. So there we go, silent disco. You wear headphones so you can all listen to different music and dance around to different music, rather than all dancing around to the same music.
It's often the same music in all the headphones.
Okay.
There's sometimes kind of two different channels you can listen to.
Right. And on the bottom right, I don't know whether you recognise the two people that are with Amos there. Those two people are Steve Fishbacker and Suzanne Butler from Fishy Music, who were there, and we had a good opportunity to chat with them and tell them how much we use Fishy Music songs and enjoy singing Fishy Music songs in Toast Church. So lots of different things going on. But I think the highlight for me was actually that getting together with the wider group of Cumbria young people and actually saying, yeah, let's get together more often. So actually in January, I think there's a plan for us to get together for a sort of escape room thing in Penrith that Sue Davis, who's the district youth enabler, who sort of stood at the back there next to the two lads with red hoodies, she's actually organising that. So we're going to try and do more with young people across Cumbria in the Methodist Church. So really good weekend. Ruth, do you want to say something a little bit about Teens on Toast? We're just sharing all the things that we're doing with young people, it's great.
Yeah, so Teens on Toast, we meet once a month, and Amos and Alice come along, plus some other young people, and children that you might remember from being really small when Toast Church first began. And maybe, I think it kind of came out of when we had the family church away day at Lemon Valley School, and then they were like, can we keep doing this? So we kind of kept it going. So that must be a couple of years, I think now. So come to our house or come to the manse, we do things together. So last night it was jack potatoes and then some kind of discussion things that got quite interesting. Yeah, so it's just lovely to just meet up with these young people that we've known, some of them since they were 2 years old.
Okay, anybody got any news from Toast Church of things we've been doing in Toast Church recently? Anybody willing to come and tell us anything about what did you do last week in Toast Church? Because I wasn't here because I was down at Regenerate. What did we do at Toast Church last week? Or what did we do recently?
We've done Harvest, we've done a lovely book. I didn't wasn't here last week.
Yeah, we made some Harvest.
Yeah.
Harvest.
Harvest, we've done those.
Excellent. Yeah.
Great those.
And you can see the big words on our board over there, Jesus Storybook Bible. We've been going through reading the Jesus Storybook Bible, which is a sort of children's version of the Bible, and we're going to be hearing one of the stories from those in a few minutes' time. But we've been doing about creation, about Joe's going to point out some different things.
These are about creation. You'll have to say it through my
Yeah, those about creation, where we're thinking about light out of darkness. So you remember the old scraper boards? I had some of those at home still, and so brought those out, and we did light out of darkness. Tilly, if you got something you wanted to say, do you want to come and say it to the microphone? Is that all right? Yeah, can you see the rainbow there? That's it. Right. There we go.
Last week we were thinking all the different ways to communicate to people.
Excellent.
Yes, I remember now.
Yeah.
It's about how the different way God gets our attention, isn't it?
Yeah.
The burning bush and the
Excellent. So the different ways God gets our attention. Thank you, Tilly. And that was a story of the burning bush, Moses and the burning bush. There's a rainbow there, which is when we did about Noah, and all those bits, all those colours were things that we found actually around the church garden. Bits of red and orange and green, and I think blue was quite difficult to find. I think we found some bits of blue twine somewhere. So last week was Moses. The week before that was Joseph. And you can see Joseph there with his brightly coloured coat. So we've been doing that, and we're going to be carrying on in just a moment with the next story from the Jesus Storybook Bible. Before we do that, though, has anybody else got any news they'd like to share? Because I said there was an opportunity to share news. Anybody else got news to share? Okay, then we will have the next story from the Jesus Storybook Bible, which Victoria and Catherine are going to read for us.
So this is God makes a way, Moses in the Red Sea from Exodus 14 to 15. Moses and God's people escaped out of Egypt and into the wilderness. They didn't know the way, but God knew the way and he would show them. I will bring you to a new home, a special land, God promised them. I will look after you, I am with you. God sent a big cloud for them to follow, a pillar of smoke stretching up to the sky. It moved in front of them as they walked and shaded them from the blazing heat of the day. And when it was time to rest, it stopped. All through the cold desert nights it kept them warm, glowing like fire. God led his people through the desert to the edge of the Great Sea. They were just wondering how to cross it when suddenly they heard terrible thundering and pounding. It sounded almost like horses' hooves. They shaded their eyes to look back and screamed. It was. Pharaoh and his army were coming to get them. Pharaoh had changed his mind again. "Get my slaves back," he screeched, and charged out into the desert after them, with 600 of his fastest horsemen and every single chariot in Egypt. What were God's people going to do? In front of them was a big sea. It was so big there was no way around it, but there was no way through it. It was too deep. They didn't have any boats, so they couldn't sail across. And they couldn't swim across because it was too far that they would drown. And they couldn't turn back because Pharaoh was chasing them. They could see the flashing swords now glinting in the baking sun, and the dust clouds and chariot after scary chariot surging towards them. So they did the only thing there was left to do: panic. "We're going to die," they shrieked. "Don't be afraid," Moses said. "But there's nothing we can do," they screamed. "God knows you can't do anything," Moses said. "God will do it for you. Trust him and watch." "But there's no way out," they cried. "God will make a way," Moses said. Another minute and it would have been over. But then the strangest thing happened.
God made the pillar of smoke move. It moved behind his people and hid them from the Egyptians. Then God sent an east wind to blow all night long. It blew on the water of the big sea. It blew to the left and it blew to the right until it blew into 2 towering walls of water. And there, right through the middle of the sea, a muddy pathway opened up, and God's people walked across on dry land. When the Egyptians tried to follow, the walls of water crashed back down on them and swallowed them up. God's people were safe. They danced and laughed and sang and thanked God. When there had been no way out, God had made a way. Many years later, once again, God was going to make a way where there was no way. From the beginning, God's children had been running from him and hiding. God knew his children could never be happy without him.
But they couldn't get back to him by themselves. They were lost. They didn't know the way back. But God knew the way, and one day he would show them.
How do you think it felt to have escaped from Egypt, which was all that those people had ever known, you know, because it had been generations since the people had lived anywhere else? Yeah, go on. Scary. I should think it was very scary. Yeah. And they got out of Egypt and they thought, this is it, we're free. And then they realised that they were being chased. And then they found that in front of them was the sea. So we've got some sea here. We're going to use this later, but I just thought I'd show it to you. Imagine it's like a wall of sea. You've got to the point where you think you're going to get somewhere, and then there is no way through. And I love the bit where it says, I can't remember exactly how it puts it, but in fact it sounds a bit like we're going on a bear hunt. You know, they couldn't go round it. They couldn't go. They were going to have to go through, but there wasn't a way through because it was too deep. That must have been terrifying. We're just going to have a little bit of a think about situations in the world today, because there are lots of times when there are things that we face that we can't see a way through. We can't see how on earth we can get from here through that difficulty to a safer place. So I think we've got three things to think about, haven't we? I think we're going to start with, yeah, go on. I'll let you come and talk to us.
I'm sure it's on everybody's minds this morning about what's happening in Gaza. And it is such a complicated and distressing situation. Earlier in the week I was messaging my friend Solly, who lives in Ramallah. He's a guy that I met at university. He and David then met him this summer when he was in Palestine and Israel. He is responsible for setting up kindergartens for Palestinian children all across Gaza and the West Bank. So I was messaging just saying, what should we send? So he gave me a couple of things, and this, if you're struggling with what we should be doing or what we could think, this is just a couple of practical things he suggested. Write to your MP, that's always one, isn't it? And he said, write to the MP, our MP, just to remind our MP the role that Britain's had all along in this, going back to 1917 and the Balfour Agreement and then 1948, and I suppose just to inform ourselves as to how this has come about in some respects. Of course, not the whole answer, but just to inform ourselves. And then secondly, to support charities like Oxfam, who then support charities like Medical Aid for Palestinians. That's a couple of practical things we can do. We're thinking about how to move forward when it appears that there is no way. I've got here a collection of pictures that I took when I was in Palestine, and I can't really show you because it's not very easy to see, but you'll be aware there's a big separation wall that runs between Palestine and Israel. But there's one bit of the wall and it says, in my previous life, I was part of the Berlin Wall. There is always a way forward. We sometimes can't see it, but with prayer and patience, let's hope that the awful situation for the Palestinian people and the Israeli people comes to an end.
Another situation where it can seem very hard to see a way forward is something that I know many of you know is close to my heart, which is thinking about climate. We did it through Generate. We went to a session exploring the feeding of the 5,000. Now, last Sunday, and you know those of you who've been around a while know this, I hope it doesn't shock, well it might shock some of you a bit, but Sunday was the 4th anniversary of when I was released from a police cell after being arrested at a protest. So it was on that anniversary, and we were sitting in this session about the feeding of the 5,000, and the leader took a single slice of bread from her loaf, from a bag of bread, and handed it to somebody and asked us to pass it round and to each take what we felt we needed, what we felt was fair, knowing how many people there were in the room, to each take what we felt we needed. And that single slice was shared around the room between maybe 30 people. And nobody went without. Everybody took their piece of bread out of that single slice. The leader pointed out that actually they'd been totally prepared to get another slice out of the bag because there was a whole loaf of bread to go out. But between those 30 people, we'd shared a single slice. And that had been enough for everybody. And we were invited to reflect on what God might be saying to us and what we might do in response. And I found that quite hard, quite a strong impact, because as I sat there, what was going through my head, all I could think is, how dare we take so much? How dare we keep taking the world's resources and keep taking more? And in that venue, all through the weekend, they'd had screens on the wall that were showing images of all sorts of wonderful bits of nature, and there were sort of a reels playing of polar bears and walruses and beautiful scenery from the polar regions. And I looked at that and wondered how long it'd still be there. How dare we take so much of the world's resources and not be aware of who's around us and what's needed? It's such a difficult situation. It's so hard to see a way through. And I don't know the answers to it. I think I have some ideas about things we need to do. But I don't know if you noticed in the story from the Jesus Storybook Bible, it said God made a way where there was no way. And I think we have to find hope in that God is with us and God does care. So we keep working, keep trying to find a way through with God's help.
So, as Alice mentioned earlier, she can come out if she wants, we went to something in the town hall venue at 3 Generate, which was a session looking at poverty and what could be done about it. And one thing was we were told the quite shocking fact that 1/4 of children in the UK live in poverty, and 1/5 of the total UK population live in poverty. And I can't remember, Mum might have found some other statistics which suggested it was even more than that. And that was really shocking and just sad that amount of people we looked at the definition of poverty and it's, not having enough to just get by with the stuff that you need. So we talked about what we could do about that. I don't know if you want to say some stuff about what we did in response to that.
We were given some postcards to write to our local MP, and I wrote a postcard because obviously in our constituency there's a problem with house prices rising, meaning that people are just struggling to afford to stay in there to rent, which is really difficult.
Yeah. Don't know if there's anything more. But yeah.
So what we're going to do now, we always have some sort of activity at Host Church. We've got a sort of a craft come prayer activity. Would somebody like to, come and bring the board out? We're going to give each of you one of these pieces of paper off here. They're just blue tacked on. So you've got your own little piece of sea, impassable sea. And we'd like you to write on it or draw, or however you want to express it, a situation that you'd like to pray for, where it seems like it's impossible, where it seems like there's no way through. So if we can hand out, I don't know whether some people want to come and take them off here and hand them out to people. You might want to take them off the middle first, just because what we're going to do with them afterwards. I don't know if we might have more than we need. I wasn't sure how many people we have, but we'll see. If you want to just hand them round, and we've got some pens if anybody needs a pen. I'm sure lots of you have a pen somewhere. And if you're And if you're watching online at home, if you've got a little bit of paper somewhere, you might like to do the same. To write something on a piece of paper or draw something that feels like an impossible situation where there's no way through. While you're doing that, we're going to have some music playing. Thanks to Vicky Music for giving us permission. So, hopefully you've all done that. What we're going to do is take your piece of sea and tear it down the middle. Because God can make a way where there isn't any way. And we're going to gather those in, and we're going to stick the two halves on the two sides so that there's a way down the middle, like the parting of the Red Sea. So, I hope at home you've been able to tear your piece of paper in half too. And we'll stick these on while we listen to another song, and hopefully at the end of that we'll be about done. Hopefully. So maybe the way sometimes feels quite narrow. You can see on the screen, yeah. But God makes a way where there was no way. Let's just take a moment in quiet to lift those prayers to God. Let's pray.
Loving God, we thank you for the stories of the Bible that show us how you work in and through your people. And so we pray that you will help us to keep coming back to you, to find a way where there seems to be no way. We offer to you all these things that we have prayed about this morning and ask you to help. Amen. What's happening next? Oh, yeah, thank you to Fishy Music for their permission to use their videos on our streaming. It's wonderful. We're going to sing.
So this is one of the songs that we've just been listening to. So hopefully it's sort of like you've been absorbing it. Hopefully we can play it something like you heard. Maybe not. Did you say we were going for a cap or not? No. All right. Good.
Strong
we've sung this one before, I think. So hopefully we'll know this. I don't know if there's any actions. Are there actions?
Yeah. Yes.
Got the side. Got the height, got the side, got the head.
Okay, so there'll be actions.
And this is the
I
last
won't
one,
be doing
last one, so throw yourself into
Yes.
it.
And also there's a bit of well, you can whistle, or if you can't whistle, then there's a bit of kind of instrumental. Do 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 do.
in the day, with us in the evening, always, always. Amen.
Amen.
I think we might have coffee. Yes, I don't want to promise it if we haven't got it. Thank you.
show my face. How I wanna be there. Holy moly, it's a real do-nothing day. I could change address and try another state. I could change my name, it won't do anything. Adventure is out there. So why am I in here? Today? Think I'm losing my mind. Apathetic and tired. Think where they could be. Some hotel in Germany. I hope they're loving the right. Holy moly, it's a real do-nothing day. I could change address and try another state. I could change my name, it won't do anything. Adventure is out there. So why am I in here? Today? I bought me some new socks. I won't lose them, I'm sure. But someday, hopefully, I'll slip away and they'll lose me. And I'll be seeing the world. Holy moly, it's a real do-nothing day. I could change address and try another state. I could change my name, it won't do anything. Adventure is out there. So why am I in here? Today? Why am I in here today? Why am I in here today?
Behold, 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 I make all things new, beginning with you and starting from today. Behold, 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 I make all things new, my promise is true, for I am Christ the way. Behold, 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 I make all things new, beginning with you and starting from today. Behold, 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 I make all things new, my promise is true, for I am Christ the way. Behold, 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 I make all things new, beginning with you and starting from today. Behold, 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 I make all things new, my promise is true, for I am Christ the way. Behold, 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 I make all things new, beginning with you and starting from today. Behold, 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 I make all things new, my promise is true, for I am Christ the way. Behold, 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 I make all things new, beginning with you and starting from today. Behold, 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 I make all things new, my promise is true, for I